Well, welcome to the podcast. Nathan Newberry here, your host. I have Roman L. Binder here. He is the Nomad CEO. He lives in Bali. He's built a business to $10 million plus. Now he teaches some people some really cool tactics to get leads and revenue. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then at the end of the podcast, we're going to really double down on some tactics of how someone could do what he's teaching and doing for people. So we're going to get to that. So stay tuned toward the end. Before we jump in here to the podcast, I want to give everybody a free gift. Down below in the show notes, there is a workshop that I created to help people build and scale their online business to get to 6 and 7 figures. So make sure to go check that out because there's some really key ways now in today's market and in the world around social media that you need to know so you can leverage AI and ads to be able to do that. So go check that down below. Roman, as we dive in, I really appreciate you jumping on the podcast here, even though it's late for you in Bali, you made the time to be able to be on this podcast. So thanks for being on. As we dive in here, I want to ask you a question that I ask everybody, which is, what is high performance? What does that look like? What is that meaning? How do you apply that to your life? Because you're an ambitious guy, but you also look at it a little bit different with how things have changed in the last few years for you. What does that look like?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your show, Nathan. That's really cool. I like the show because of the focus of high performing entrepreneurs and individuals that are ambitious. Is what I consider myself to be as well. But the question is actually, I think it depends on what your standard is, right? So we could high performing is a subjective, well, it can be an objective term if you measure it, if you have in a business environment where you set your standard KPIs, like the key performance indicators, and you say, okay, so high performing for me is that I need to generate, I don't know, 3 calls per day, 5 calls, whatever that is. But it depends on where you at in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're starting out and if you don't have $1 million business yet, then a high performing thing to do can just be getting your habits straight and like the thing that you need to do and execute. And they might not be tremendous results in terms of money or whatever, but it can be the I'd say it could be the foundation for that success later on. That could be high performing. So it's really relative where you are in your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, I
I guess.
appreciate you talking about that because that is true. By high performance, it could go a bunch of different ways. It's quite why I keep it an open question because everybody has a different, idea of what that looks like and how they apply it to their life. But it's so true. Like the standards you set in life, right, determine the outcomes that you have, right? And so many times, when we think about like your upbringing at the very beginning of your business, most of the time people have no idea what that looks like. The KPIs, many of my students when they first started, they have no idea what that meant, or the key performance indicators. They think of the business acumen. It's not always easy, but tell us now, Roman, as you've shifted gears, you live in Bali now, which is such a serene, amazing place with a community of entrepreneurs. And you talk about this in your own podcast, the Nomad CEO, and then you help people and many CEOs like talk about like what you do now and how you serve people.
So as of today, I'm building my ghostwriting agency. I help founders and entrepreneurs, to the same people that I interview on my show. I basically get to know them because I started out as a consultant after I lost my first business. Sort of after that, I had a recovery period, and then I remembered that deep down, I'm not gonna. I mean, it was a bankruptcy, so even though it felt like the end of everything, I then after a while realized that I'm still an entrepreneur. I just had a failure, right? And then what I do is I help founders to sort of uncover their hidden stories in my consultations that I turn that into revenue critical assets, 5-day educational email courses based on the founder story or journey, so to speak. And one of the things that I found out that is really, I mean, it's astonishing in so many ways, is that most founders or most successful people, they are not successful despite of their struggles or their losses, but because of it, because it's because of these rock bottom moments, I call them, or rock bottom situations, that they can then bounce a lot higher. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so with that business, what I do is I just try to help founders to uncover those stories, build a really story driven narrative, and then turn that into something that they can monetize through their newsletter that I create for them, and the lead generation on top of that service. So basically, it's a combination of lead generation and a newsletter as a marketing tool, which is something very powerful that I think a lot of people underestimate, because yeah, it's something relatively new. I mean, newsletter have been around for some time, but let's say the newest generation of it, they're really just they started becoming a lot more successful and accepted, like 2018, 2019, and they now evolved into something really powerful.
Yeah. The power of story is something that many entrepreneurs don't use and leverage as much, right? Like you're saying, and I'm seeing it like play out, and I'm always studying and learning how to do that. Like that's on my bookshelf, is learning how to craft really good stories, like you're saying. And that's amazing that you're using that, because that's not what most typical agencies or people even do. I love that. How did this all begin though, brother? I want to ask you this. Bring us back to the very beginning of all of this. Like you had told me you're from Germany, you lived in Mexico forever, and now you're in Bali. Like you're definitely all over the world with some of these things. Like tell us the beginning origin story of like how you were wired a little bit different than most people. Because I always find that entrepreneurs are a little bit different than most.
Yeah, and we tend to take more risks, first of all, and
Yeah.
we like to experiment and see how things play out in reality. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so in my case, I just left Germany when I was young, 20, 19. I went to Mexico. I was on a vacation, loved the place, the girls, the tequila, the whole 9 yards. And then made a friend. He invited me. Then I stayed. I wanted to study Spanish and stayed there. And then one thing turned into another, and then 20 years, 21 years in Mexico. So a long time. And I built my first nanotech startup. I had a joint venture with a German manufacturer, and I built this company in 2008. Became a 8-figure business by 2017, and by 2020, I during the pandemic, I lost all of it, and so it crashed and burned. And so it was a terrible time in my life, because it was not like a 1 month thing. It was like a year and a half of trying to save the ship from sinking. Didn't work out, and so yeah, it was a tough situation. But now I'm looking back, and after that, there was a traumatic thing, and so I didn't really want to think about it, and I ran away from it, and I went to Southeast Asia and became a digital nomad and tried different things and didn't really know what to do. Like, was completely lost in many ways. But then I remember that it's not gonna go. I mean, the I think entrepreneurs are born. It's just it's like you're being left-handed, all right. It's just it's something
Yeah.
you are, or you are not, right? And so this is not gonna go away. And so I just accepted the failure, and now I use it as fuel for whatever I'm gonna be building in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Talk
it's
to us about Bali. I mean, Bali is a pretty cool place.
it
Seems
is
like there's
awesome.
amazing surf, some great people. Talk about like being around other like-minded people and how important that is that's helped you shape who you are.
Well, first of all, Bali is, I mean, as you just said, there's a lot of cool people. You can do a lot of networking. I just went on a, Matt Gray,
I've heard of that
big,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, big creator. I just went on a mastermind last week, 2 weeks ago, here in Bali that he organized. Just he invited me. I didn't do it 2 days before, and then oh, you're here. Okay, that was and about a ton of other people, creators there. It was really cool, entrepreneurs. Here's a lot. There's a lot of networking going on here, but also Bali is a very. I mean, I like it because it has. Have you you have not been, right? So
I haven't been yet, but I've watched many videos about it because I'm a surfer
it's
growing up in San Diego, and so I'm anxious to go out there one of these days.
oh, you can do definitely, you can do surfing in Bali, in Uluwatu. First of all, the nature is just beautiful. It's a magical island with the volcano in the backdrop, and then they have a ton of spiritual places. The food is also great. The people are so friendly and so open and warm. It reminds me a little bit from South America, but without the violence and without the insecurity. So it's really, yeah, it's because the contrast is just. I mean, I lived in Latin America for so long, and I my company, I had branches all over the place: in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and the crime rate in Latin America, I don't know why it's so bad, but it's really bad. And here you don't have that, so people are just not violent here. I don't know why, or at least you don't doesn't. So that's a really big one, I think. It's also very cheap. They have a high standard of living. So you can get a really cool place, a nice hotel, not far, like next to the beach, with a pool, and you can still get that for $15, $20 a night. Really.
Amazing.
So yeah, so there's many good reasons for that. I mean, it's just really, I can only recommend you check it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I know personally that being an entrepreneur is a lonely road,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And you're in your mind a lot, right? You're like self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Should I just go get a like a job because it's, inconsistent sometimes. It's up and down. It's a roller coaster of emotions. You're building teams and then teams fall apart, the direction you want. Like there's just ups and downs and it's not always easy. And so it works havoc, on your mind. But then there's this internal process that happens, especially while you go through hard things like you've had to go through during COVID, where it stretches you. There's this resilience that's built internally that you have this almost this confidence that doesn't make sense, right? Because it's like, you should close up shop or, you should do this. Talk about that process of when you were making $10 million on a business, then it crashes and burns. And then now you're trying to like recreate yourself. Then you go to this amazing place that's serene, but then you're also around great entrepreneurs. You start a business. Talk about that
Well,
internal process for you.
so you're right about the loneliness thing. I've struggled with that. I have to. I'm not gonna lie. I've many times, but even before, this is not. This wasn't. This wasn't just after I had the bankruptcy. This was already before. It was an issue that I have always had. But ironically, I still would choose always the road less traveled. So even though I knew that I had an issue with that, I still would choose the road that would be obviously with where you would have less, I don't know, people around me, I guess. But it's not like I actually enjoy a lot talking to people, right? This is why I love the podcast idea, because I can now connect to the like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you and it's this is also true if you're on the top. And I mean, I had 80 employees, but sometimes which is not that big, but you on the top, but it's kind of lonely up there too, right? So because you can get advice, but like the good one, it's not that easy either, because a lot of people want to give you advice and want to give you, but they are just trying to get an advantage or something, and then and then when things fall apart, then it's really like, there's this saying that when shit hits the fan, then you're left with a few friends, like one hand, like three friends, and this is true. Happened to me as well. There were just two or three friends that reached out, and then you have to. I mean, the internal process is, for me, the most important, or the most difficult part to overcome was not the material loss. It was the illusion that my identity was linked to the business or to my position in that business. So I was actually, the business became me. And when the business went down, I actually thought I died. It was so bad. And this is a terrible thing. I mean, this is why I'm not going to, I don't even want a traditional business anymore. I'm fully committed to it. This is why I'm doing like this solopreneur thing right now, because it's so much. I mean, to be honest, this wasn't possible like 10 years ago. I mean, now you can just go online and you can get all these outsourced freelancers, and that they do everything, and there's no risk involved. But yeah, it's resilience is obviously only built if you go through these situations, and I can't tell you exactly each moment, but leaning into the pain is better than running away from it. This is one thing I have learned. Leaning in is just, it's you have because the pain is inevitable, so you might as well lean in and then just accept as all you can do. I mean, that's really all you can do, and not add any other negative stuff to it. So, for example, in my case, I relapsed into substance abuse right after the bankruptcy, and then I also did the benzodiazepine for to sort of stay calm, and then to get off that shit, this took me another 3 months. And so that doesn't help either. So it's not a good idea. So I'm totally. So I start, but in hindsight, now I quit drinking. I'm completely focused and better shape than ever before, because I understood that this can be the end, or it can be the beginning of something new, and you emerge stronger than before. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's true. I mean, if you can overcome this shit, then you actually are stronger than before. It's just this is a fact, right? And so, and then embracing the negativity, or the embracing the pain is also, I think, a good thing to do. You have to make friends with your past. You can't, because otherwise it's always going to haunt you. It's always going to come back and create inner turmoil, and you can't have that. So you have to be okay with whatever happened. It's just acceptance. It's letting go of when a negativity arises. Just lean in. I mean, for me, breath work has helped. Wim Hof method, like the meditation daily, helps also. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, we're all different, right? Nutrition, man. Nutrition is also a big one. I did not know that you can, by reducing sugar intake, you can decrease your anxiety levels substantially. It works for me, and I know a lot of other people who also have seen those benefits. But it's an individual thing. There's no one size fits all solution for everyone. There's general advice you can take, like, and there's also, what's also, I think, is also highly remarkable that there's these lessons in life that's specific, that I would call them unteachable lessons. And those lessons are usually the ones that are the most important ones, that also very often unteachable. What I mean by that is that there's things we just don't learn by when when others tell us. We have to go through ourselves. Like, you know, like for example, that money it alone doesn't make you happy, or the fact that you should see your parents more often, or
Mm.
that you know what is it, the stuff really, this is stuff you have to learn by doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just don't take those, we just don't take this advice. I think there's
Yeah.
something, it's yeah,
So true.
yeah.
I want to. I love this. It's so important to kind of identify that, and I think journaling, processing, meditating, kind of like looking at some of those things internally of why we're wired, why we're driven, what we're planning on doing, taking stock of like where you're at now. It's there's I talk about it quite a bit as like the getting naked moment where you're actually being real with yourself. You know, it's like you're not trying to hide anything because you're just talking to yourself and you're processing. I think that's so important that people don't do often enough to really kind of know what they actually want.
Yeah, but it's also super hard because most people just keep distracting themselves
Yeah,
instead of doing that, because it's really hard to sit down and actually
it
write
is.
down your feelings. And when you're talking to yourself by writing, is not an easy task. You have to be, you have to, it's a habit that is immensely valuable, because you
Hmm.
can, because you actually get to know yourself when you do that, right? If
Hmm.
you sit through, but we don't do that. Most people don't. They're just distracted, and like they wake up and the first, what do? Cell phone, right? And
Right.
so that's a problem. I mean, it's a huge problem. It's because it fucking completely eliminates time, precious time. Like it's gone, and then scroll three times, and it's an hour
Hmm.
gone, right? That you could
Yeah.
have used for some journaling, planning out your day, or whatever, get clarity on what you're going to do.
Yeah. I want to kind of shift gears and ask you some tactical questions here about some of the things that you've learned over the decades of building your own business and then what you're helping people do now. Talk to us a little bit about like the importance of an entrepreneur to get really clear on how they should get more leads and revenue, because you help people do this now. And I've seen it quite a bit where people hope and pray for leads to come in, you know, and they don't look at the tactical approach like you teach and you apply to businesses of like how to do it. So talk to us some tactical ways that if someone used your service or not, or just like wanted to do it themselves, how would they go about really getting more leads?
So for leads, the most important, by far, the most important thing to focus on is the offer. You need to actually provide value for people to want to join whatever you have to offer. I mean, this is something that I think also a lot of people don't really fully understand. They focus a lot on how to get attention,
Hmm.
and then they're in this, okay, how do I get views on Instagram? And they're not building. The focus should be first building something that is actually really valuable. The offer should be so good that people would be stupid to say no to it. I mean, Hormozi does a great job explaining this principle in his book, The 100 Million Offer, which is basically this formula of a perfect offer, which is also, it should be time bound, and you should offer something that is, you pinpoint the problem, agitate the problem, offer the solution, and then make it risk free. So it would be absolutely stupid not to say no to it, right? So you take away the risk, and then you just, and then it's just volume hitting, as you have to talk to a lot of people that actually need what you have to offer. You have to also pick the right niche. I mean, there's a few crucial decisions that are very important upfront before you even start building a campaign. You should focus on what you bring to the table, who you're going to talk to, like who's your and then the rest is just, after that it's just repetition and yeah, optimization, like focusing on eliminating the bottlenecks in your funnel. I mean, doesn't have to be complicated. So my first funnel with my first company, this was a funnel I built when Facebook ads was still like a pioneer thing. I built my first Facebook ads 2009. It already existed before that, but it was really what is this gold digger app. I mean, people were like, you could actually make a lot of. I mean, Facebook was like a place where you could get a ton of lead for almost nothing. Like, it was really cheap, and so my first funnel was like, we offering these nanotech coatings to the industry. We built a network of distributors, and that same funnel evolved into. It took me 10 years. The same funnel. We just evolved the same funnel. But once you have an offer, what I'm trying to say here is that once you have a really good offer, then you just have to keep improving your funnel. It's just not complicated. But I think the important part is really creating something that people want. The difficult part. That's the most. I think this is the most difficult part
Yeah.
for
You
most
talk
people,
about
because
you talk
yeah.
about doing some outbound reach too. I think Alex Ramosi talks about this like a lot in his, book around $100 million leads too, around the 4 core areas of getting leads. You got the warm outreach, cold outreach, paid ads, and content. And I feel like a lot of people miss the middle of the funnel, which is the content part that also helps nurture people. We'll talk about like the approach of getting eyeballs, to your profile or your offer, because it sounds like DMs is kind of a really good strong suit of how you're helping people now. How do you do that? What is that conversation? What's the opener? What does that sound like?
So it depends on the platform you use, but the new for I use Instantly, or another one called Success AI. Then for X, you can use Drippy AI. So those new platforms, they have these, you can do personalizations and using AI, and so it can be helpful. Not necessarily, but most of the time it works. Can't be too long, can't be too short. The first message should just be, you put your offer out there, and then the goal is not to get them on a call in your first message. The goal in your first message is just to tell them, yeah, I'm interested, right? So raise your hands, and then you send the goal should be to send a Loom video or something like that, where you can then introduce yourself,
Yeah.
because people don't know you, and people hate cold emails and cold DMs, so you just want to go straight to the point, the pain point, and then the solution, the offer. I don't know, 3 or 4 lines, maybe 5. And then if they say, yeah, tell me more, then you send a Loom video, and then you have the opportunity. Then it's actually an opportunity, because now talking to a real person, well, they see you talking. And if you there's 2 ways to do this. You can either use prefabricated or pre-recorded videos. Can work for B2C. Sometimes sometimes it can even be better, because you want to reduce the gap between someone showing interest and you sending that video. The shorter that gap is, the better, because if they're hot in that moment, they might actually take the call.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one of the best indicators for success if you do this quickly. But for B2C clients, for example, it might actually be better to do a personalized video where you go on their website and then you explain a few things that it could be improved. And then you send that, because people appreciate if you actually take the time and do the research. So it depends on the client. But yeah, It's
Yeah.
basically it.
And then you talk about stories as being a really key component. Is that with the content, or how do you get, I think it's through email, I think is what you mentioned. How do you get their email address then to them be in that newsletter pipeline to, share your story with a call to action?
So the story comes into play during, so what I build, I'm not, when I build a newsletter for a client, I'm not just building a newsletter, because the newsletter itself still needs to be promoted, right? So we can now, we use social media like X and LinkedIn for text-based content, but also we want to create a powerful lead magnet. And the best lead magnet you can build, in my opinion, right now, is our email courses, because they are like those digestible small snippet, one day, 5 lessons in 5 days. And then I create those lead magnets, or those 5-day educational email courses, with the story that the founder gives me. So he gives me, because I'm asking questions, right? It's like a therapy session in a good way, where I get to know this person. And so I'm asking, where did you start? What's your mission? What's your vision? How do you solve problems for your clients? And how do you differentiate yourself from other competitors? And what is your, tell me anecdotes, personal stories. How was your first, whatever loss you had? And then when I get to know these people, then I have all the ammunition I need. Then I know how they solve problems and how they overcame all of that is important. And then I turn that into a framework that works, where I can, not all the time, but I use in certain specific parts, I add personal stories from the founder, so it's more relatable and people actually believe what we're telling them.
That's so cool. I mean, I haven't heard of the 5-day email drip. And is that like a free giveaway to get and then capture their email? Is that how you do it, or is that a paid?
Yeah, exactly. You build a landing page. You build a landing page with, for example, I can give you one that I just delivered. For example, the 5-day email course on real estate tokenization. This is a guy who has a hotel here. He's a German guy as well like myself, and he was a business a fitness trainer, and he's now a YouTuber. And then he came to Bali. In less than 4 years, he built his first hotel here. Now he has 3 properties selling real estate tokenization, fractional ownership in this place. And so he has an interesting story. And so I built this course for him. And so in this, and I walk them through on the landing page what they learn, the problems we solve, which must be, of course, the biggest problems of your target audience. And if they sign up, they get into the funnel, and then they join the newsletter, basically. And then we have permission to also market them through the newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. So doing outbounds, making it real, straight to the point, but also have a little Loom video so people kind of know you instead of just through DMs. So that I think that's just a really cool approach. And then doing an email drip that's more of a mini course that kind
Yeah,
of gives that context. Because I think Google came out with that where it's what is it, the 7 hours of content, like 11, what was it, 11 or 4 different platforms, 11 different touch points or something like that. Google came up with that
yeah,
analytics of it. So I mean,
yeah,
that's really interesting. If people are spending more time with you, a 5-day, course or something, even if I guess to hit the Google mark, you could say 7. It's
yeah,
7-day email drip, to get those 7 hours in.
yeah. So this is not for everyone, but it's a very, very effective tool if your goal is to get people on a call.
Hmm.
So if you require like a sales call, an actual sales call to to get clients, then this is a very effective tool, because it gives you exactly those touch points that are necessary. Because let's be honest, people are they're not ready to buy after they look on your often. Most of the time, they're gonna go on your website and they might be interested, but they're not ready to get on a call with you, because they know you're going to try to sell them, right? And so they want to get educated. And so some people will, but not, but it's a small percentage that actually wants to find out what you offer and then gets on a books a call with you. Doesn't happen very often. So they want to get educated. They want to see, they check you out. They go on social media. And if you have value to offer, like if you lead with value in that moment, have something to offer them that is free, that they can take, and then it creates just trust and educates
Yes.
them. So
Yeah.
it's working great. Those landing pages, they should convert about 50% of the people that get there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good data. Roman,
Yeah.
I could go on and on without like some cool techniques and learn some more from you. But if people want to hear more from you or follow you, what's the best place that people can connect with you further?
They can just go on my website currently, the nomad.ceo,
Okay.
the nomad.ceo, and reach out there. There's a on the navigation bar. There's my link to my ghostwriting service and everything.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure to put that link down in the description. Make sure you guys go follow Roman on all the social media platforms as well. He's going to be a good reference to watch his journey there in Bali, and also, get connected with him if you need that help being an entrepreneur. Landing pages, conversions, getting leads and revenue is going to be an important part of your journey and your growth of your business. And down below as well, don't forget to grab that workshop I have down below as well. So you can really know how to grow your 6 and 7 figure business and online presence to grow more leads and revenue as well. Thanks, Roman, for being on. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, we will see you on the next episode.